This is Strategy at 60 Feet, and don't worry, I am planning to work on a regular Wonder Review episode before December comes, just in time to celebrate Christmas. I just like to talk about this episode so I can get it done out of the way before December arrives. This episode starts with Nickel and Balloon making a conversation that they need Bach to stand by their side to make sure both of them stays in the game. Meanwhile, Meatphone got some reports that their show's practices had been deemed unsafe. And to be fair, there was actually a good cameo on the newspaper responsible for these reports. In order to make sure that Meatphone doesn't get sued again, he decided to create a safety challenge, which is an egg drop challenge. Their challenge is to create a contraption to keep the egg safe. Once their contraption is complete, they have to drop it down the cliff and make sure not a single crack is on the egg. If the egg cracks, they are automatically up for elimination. So, I may be going too deep into this episode, but I'm sensing some patterns lately on these Season 3 episodes because they always have some sort of commentary or theme tied to them. Like Episode 3 was about journalism, Episode 4 was about the social game, and in this one, it's all about safety. The reason why I say that this episode's theme is all about safety is because the safety aspect does come into play later, specifically in the final act of the episode. Now, I'm not gonna spoil too much, but let's just say there was an accident that happened. A pretty intense accident. And ever since that accident happened during the challenge, it pretty much changed everything. And the truth about that event in particular, it shows that we need safety on reality game shows. Safety is important on reality TV because they had to make sure the challenges are good enough for the contestants to complete them. These sort of safety scenarios happen all the time on all of our favorite reality game shows like Survivor, Big Brother, or The Amazing Race. Speaking of which, Survivor is the perfect example why safety is important on reality game shows. If you look back at some of their previous seasons, there were some incidents where some contestants were either injured or been dehydrated from the boiling sun. And Jeff was always with them, along with the medical team and the crew of the show. Even though Jeff Probst is the host of the show and loves the thrill of the game, he really does care about these contestants' health and safety. Now for the egg drop challenge, it's actually not a bad idea. There's a lot of potential on what you can make to keep the egg safe. But my one issue with the episode is that they don't fully present the egg drop challenge. They do present what sort of contraptions they're planning on making, but we don't actually see these eggs dropping from the cliff. It's like doing a Rube Goldberg challenge, but instead of presenting the final project, you only see half of it being finished. The only time I remember seeing an egg drop is when the thinkers miscounted the number of sides they need to complete their contraction. And do you know the best part about that one particular egg drop are the facial expressions? There were a few funny lines, gags, and jokes in this episode, like the cameo I mentioned earlier, and another cameo after the accident. There was one line involving Yin Yang and Dr. Fizz that made me laugh so much. He deserves a medal on how much he took that performance seriously. Now when it comes to the other contestants' performance in this episode, there was a lot of conflict that was happening here and there. Oh, and just some heads up, I may spoil events from the previous episode. I'm just not going to spoil anything that happened in this episode. On the Thinker scene, they're trying to manage the team without any sort of leadership. On the Sinker side, Nickel and Balloon are trying to persuade Bach to stay on their side, while Tea Kettle persuade Bach to join her side since she's the only newbie left on the Sinkers. While on the Pinger side, Test Tube is trying to create the perfect contraption, while Cabby insists they would just use Clover's luckiness to make sure the egg drops safely. I'll admit I was super concerned about the Test Tube versus Cabby conflict as Goo was because my biggest fear was that Test Tube was going to fall into the same trap that Fan had that what got him eliminated, but thankfully that was not the case here. But in all seriousness, this was actually the first time I actually experienced Clover having sort of character development involving her luck. What's interesting about this was that after the accident occurred, she's starting to rethink about her luckiness. She's so super lucky, she's wondering maybe the bad stuff only occur on those around her. I'm not 100% sure if Clover's luckiness will come into play later in the next episode, but that was an interesting thought. So just when you think Bodhi's death was just the most emotional thing that happened this season, that was just the appetizer. This episode is the main course. So while the egg drop challenge was a missed opportunity, it was a good theme on safety, some funny jokes and gags, and some nice interactions with the contestants. With only 13 contestants left, Who is safe from elimination, and will any of them recover from the accident? Many answers or more will be revealed next episode.